Here we go. Canada, are you ready for election? Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, just ripped up the agreement, the confidence and supply agreement that the NDP had with the Liberals. What it means is that as early as the fall, as early as when the House of Commons resumes on September 16th, we could be called to an election. We're going to get into all that today. But first, let's just hear a little bit of what Jagmeet Singh had to say today as he ripped up that agreement. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
I notified the Prime Minister that I've ripped up the supply and confidence agreement. Canadians are fighting a battle for the future of the middle class. Justin Trudeau has proven again and again he will always cave to corporate greed. The Liberals have let people down. They don't deserve another chance. There is an even bigger battle ahead. The threat of Pierre Poilievre and conservative cuts from workers, from retirees, from young people, from patients, from families. He will cut in order to give more to big corporations and wealthy CEOs. The fact is, the Liberals are too weak, too selfish, and too beholden to corporate interests to fight for people. They cannot be the change. They cannot restore the hope. They cannot stop the Conservatives. But we can. In the next federal election, Canadians will choose between Pierre Poilievre's callous cuts or hope. Hope that when we stand united, we win. The Canada's middle class will once again thrive together. In Canada, we take care of our neighbors. That's who we are. I've embraced that value my whole life. I'm running for Prime Minister because together we can and will stop conservative cuts. We can deliver relief and restore hope, fix healthcare, build homes you can afford, stop price gouging. It's always impossible until it isn't. It can't be done until someone does it. If we're together.
All right, that just goes on and on and on. But you guys have had what I really want you to hear. That's the meat right there. They've ripped up the agreement with the Liberals. Here we go. But before we run away too far, obviously the Prime Minister has responded, and Poilievre has also weighed in with his own views on the matter. I'll play you those, and then we'll get into our reactions, our instant reactions on this particular matter. Let's go. It's real. I don't know if you can tell how excited I am, but I am chomping at the beat to go on this one. Of course, YouTube is gonna hit me with an ad, you know. Come on, YouTube! I'm trying to do a show here.
Right now, let's go to Rocky Harbor, Newfoundland. This is where Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is speaking.
As people step up, these are the kinds of things that Canadians are looking for. As I traveled across the country this summer, people talk to me about making ends meet. They talk to me about the high cost of rent and the need for more housing. They talk to me about the environment and climate change and the impacts of it. And these are the things that we're focused on. I'll let others focus on politics, but I will point out that I really hope the NDP stays focused on how we can deliver for Canadians, as we have over the past years, rather than focusing on politics.
Okay. The rest of that is that's just the main point here. The Prime Minister has obviously said he wants to focus on delivering for Canadians. He's been listening all through the summer, listening to Canadians and their point of view and their grievances about where the country is right now. We're talking the affordability crisis. We're talking the housing crisis. We're talking the stress on services and health systems. Well, that my goodness. So that's what Justin Trudeau had to say about that agreement getting ripped up. Now we're gonna listen to what Poilievre had to say. Don't worry, we're gonna get a chance to react. We're gonna get a chance to speak our minds. But let's hear what Pierre Poilievre had to say about this.
Right now, let's go live to Nanaimo, BC. This is where federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is speaking right now. This comes after NDP leader Jagmeet Singh announced that they are pulling out of the confidence and supply agreement with Liberals. That was announced just about 2.5 hours ago. Let's listen to Poilievre.
And stop crime.
That's the choice. That's common sense.
Thank you very much, everyone. And before I start, I just want to point out how great it is to be back in British Columbia, where my family used to take us for little vacations, camping trips. My folks were school teachers. They adopted me, and even though we came from modest means and went through a lot of hard times, it was always possible to have a modest vacation in our neighboring province of British Columbia. And my folks would tell me that, in Canada, it didn't really matter where you came from. It mattered where you were going. That anyone from anywhere could do anything. That's the country my wife came to as a refugee, starting as 6 people in a 2-bedroom apartment, but now all of them have succeeded. That was the Canadian promise.
Like empires. Of course, YouTube hits me with an ad right in the middle of listening to a speech. Come on, guys. Prices rise. Come on, guys. All right. I'm gonna skip through.
That was the Canadian costs more. Work doesn't pay. Housing costs have doubled. We now have the worst housing costs in all of the G7. Housing is 20.
All right. Pierre Poilievre, to be fair, this particular speech is one of the ones that really pissed me off the most. He was so slow in talking in this particular speech. I just want him to get to the part where you respond to the fact that the NDP just ripped up the agreement with the Liberals. Is he calling a snap election? Now, obviously, we know now, having read the news afterwards, that he is planning a non-confidence vote against Justin Trudeau ASAP. As soon as for those of you who are not in on this, obviously the House of Commons returns on September 16th, and as early as the fall of this year, as early as they're able to hold a non-confidence vote, we could be called to an election. Okay. And obviously, because of how slow that speech was, and I'm trying to go really fast on this particular reaction here, I'm just gonna paraphrase what I remember from Pierre Poilievre's speech. Obviously, he has criticized Jagmeet Singh for not ripping up this agreement sooner, and obviously went on to kind of play his greatest hits, which is basically say the stuff he has said about Trudeau being an expensive leader and all the problems that have been caused by Trudeau and the affordability crisis. Just drum roll all those things that piss you off. Yeah, he said all those things. Wow. So before we go any further, I want to kind of backtrack the origins of this agreement between the NDP and the Liberals. So if you guys recall, in 2019, Trudeau called a snap election, hoping to win a majority, to try and get a majority government. That was the idea, right? Well, they lost they won the election. They won the election and were able to form government, but they didn't quite win enough seats in the House of Commons to form a majority government. Hence, they ended up with a minority government. Now, the Trudeau government wanted to still be able to rule as a majority, so they decided to try and get some extra votes elsewhere. Enter the NDP, who had just the right amount of votes that the Liberals needed in order to join with their number of seats in order to form a majority government. And the idea was the NDP will get certain things done. They will get certain ideas that they would like passed, and a lot of that is where are we here? I'm just gonna I've written down some of the strong points that the NDP were really big on in that agreement. Obviously, they wanted a national dental care program, they wanted pharmacare, they wanted paid sick leave and housing initiatives, and also climate action. Those were the really big points for the NDP going into that agreement. And actually, it's maybe important for us to see how much of those the points of that agreement were actually delivered by this coalition. And actually, the CTV News actually has a great article on that. So CTV News, in an article today, analyzed the sort of the successes and in terms of the scorecard for this Liberal NDP coalition. So there's an article, a great article here by Spencer Van Dyke, titled "The Liberal NDP Deal is Dead. What did it accomplish?" And it goes here: the Liberal NDP deal is dead. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh revealed Wednesday that he has ripped up the supply and confidence agreement with the Liberals. With this major parliamentary pact now kaput, here's a look at everything the deal accomplished and what's been left unfinished. Okay, so in terms of dental care, National Dental Care Program was one of the keystones of the Confidence and Supply Agreement, with plans to roll out coverage, and especially for children, seniors, and low-income Canadians. The Liberals have touted it as one of the largest social programs in Canadian history, and as part of a phased rollout, began accepting claims for dental coverage for seniors in May. Oh, okay. I should go over that again. I read that like I was a little bit retarded. Anyways, the Liberals have touted it as one of the largest social programs in Canadian history, and as part of a phased rollout, began accepting claims for dental coverage for seniors in May. Eligibility then expanded to children under the age of 18 and the Canadians with a valid disability tax credit. Okay, so that's dental care. Obviously, that has already started rolling out. That was part of that agreement. Pharmacare is also a big one. And here's what the article says here. After extensive negotiations and deadline extensions to a framework bill, the Liberals moved ahead with the Pharmacare Act in the spring. Singh has called the plan, which outlines the foundational principles of a national universal drug coverage plan, but does not directly implement one, historic. There were obviously foundations for national pharmacare program there, and obviously you guys all know about the $10 a day childcare, which is a big one that the Liberals have trumpeted as a success, as a success of this particular coalition. And in terms of what was left undone, here, where is it now? Just find this in the article for you. Obviously farmer care issue is a big sore point, and obviously in Jagmeet Singh's speech there, he talks about the fact that the Liberals have been weak on corporations, and he describes that as one of the biggest reasons why he has chosen to part ways with the Liberals here. Yeah, so that's where we are in terms of that agreement. So I wanted to kind of delve into that a little bit, actually. Obviously the NDP have criticized Justin Trudeau's government for being weak on corporations, and essentially not taxing greedy corporations enough, and not taxing degraded industries that are very notorious for polluting and that kind of stuff, and so essentially not doing enough not essentially not doing enough against like industries like even the pharmaceutical industry at that. Okay, so what's my next point here I wanted to hit for you guys? But as I just told you, as early as September the 16th, when the House returns from its summer break, there is a chance at that point to hold a non-confidence vote. Obviously, before then, the Prime Minister himself, Justin Trudeau, can choose to ask the Governor General to call an election. I'm sure you know that. So there's two paths there towards an election. Now, for here's what I'm going to say. Okay, where at this point now, obviously, Trudeau has met with a lot of criticism for where the country is right now. According to an Ipsos poll done for Global News, 70% of Canadians believe that Canada is broken. And obviously, with the way Pierre Poilievre has campaigned, he has put the sole blame for that brokenness of Canada at the foot of Justin Trudeau, rightly or wrongly. And Canadians have listened. Canadians are listening to Pierre Poilievre at this particular point in time, right? Here's the thing. Pierre Poilievre has now got to move away from being the critic. It's easy to be the critic. It's easy to be on the sideline and see what is wrong. But now he's got to move towards a point where he tells Canadians what his plans are and starts to actually outline how he will achieve those plans. Right? It's easy to be the critic and to lay blames and all of that stuff. So it's time for him now more than ever to work towards showing Canadians why he's better. Okay, and for Trudeau, where it's not actually quite checkmate as you guys think. Yes, there is a path now towards the Conservatives basically holding holding a non-confidence vote and essentially forcing an election. Whereas there's a path here where Justin Trudeau actually gets a lifeline. So obviously he has spent the summer, as he says, listening to Canadians and all of that good stuff. And you've seen some of the policies they came up with right after, right at the end of the summer here, talking about the immigration policies that came out last week, talking about trying to obviously taxing EVs coming from China. So these are all things that obviously Canadians have been harping on for a while, and he is showing in a sense that he's listening. And it helps that rate cuts have started to arrive, and that will ease the financial burden, that affordability crisis that we're talking about earlier. These rate cuts are going to ease a little bit of that. So he's slowly, and maybe this was why Pierre Poilievre was so quick to kind of goad Jagmeet Singh into breaking the agreement with the Liberals, because obviously the longer we go without an election, the higher the possibility that things start to get better. With cuts to immigration, less people, maybe it impacts the problems with like overcrowding of services, and impacts just like the ability of people to find jobs, and impact wages and all of that good stuff. uh, with 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 the rate cuts, you can expect maybe the people have a bit more money in their hands and that kind of stuff. But that also impacts affordability, right? So for Trudeau, time is his friend at the moment. Well, although to be fair, it could get worse. It could get worse, and it for some reason, with everything he's continuing to do online, at the very least, there's still a lot of criticism. There's still a lot of anger towards him for the problems that currently face Canada. But here's the thing: it's not yet checkmate. I said that earlier, and I'm going to explain. Okay, the the Liberals currently have 157 seats. I want to say, yeah, they have the 157 seats in the House of Commons, right? And in order to sustain a majority, or to at least pass a non-confident vote, or to survive a non-confidence vote, the Liberals require 170. And obviously, they just lost the NDP's 25, which added to their 157 was majority. Now, the other option is, in this case, the NDP, while they're not directly propping up the Liberal government, there is still a possibility on an individual basis that the Liberals are still able to steal some votes from that direction, especially if they find the Liberals are giving them some of more of what they want, because they need it right now. But there's also the chance that the Liberals are able to appeal to the Bloc Québécois, who holds 32 seats. Actually, they hold 32 seats now. Obviously, in 2019, they were not able to. The Liberals courted both the NDP and the Bloc Québécois. They chose to go with the NDP, but they might go back to the Bloc and try and see if they can hammer something out in order to keep them in power at least till June next year. That remains to be seen, but it is not checkmate just yet. Obviously, the Conservatives are not going to give them their votes. The Conservatives have 119 seats in the House of Commons, right? So That's how Justin Trudeau can survive. Just stall for time as long as possible. He's not going to call an election because obviously, if you've been looking at the polls, you know that on any poll you probably see, it says he loses. So he's not going to call an election unless he's forced, right? So that's where we are on Justin Trudeau, and obviously, Jagmeet Singh, he is in criticizing the Trudeau government for not doing enough to tackle corporate greed and all of that good stuff. He also obviously lashed out at Pierre Poilievre for not being any better and all of that stuff, and put himself forward as the new way forward, and put himself forward as being the man for the job. But here's the thing: he has I don't know that he has enough good favor behind him to because of that coalition with the Liberals. He is not really able to divorce the results. He can divorce the Liberals and not support them publicly, but he's not able to divorce their results. And Pierre Poilievre has done a good job of tying them together. Really, he's not able to divorce the results and of the Liberal government from. He's not able to avoid the smear of that from staining him as well. And that is and obviously the NDP has the bigger issue of not having as much federal support as the Liberals and the Conservatives do at the moment. Yeah. So Jagmeet, what are the chances he becomes prime minister? I would say not very high. So I would, at the moment, as where we sit right now, Pierre Poilievre is the favorite. It seems like it is his election to lose, and it would seem as we are right now, unless Justin Trudeau pulls off a massive gambit, that we're going to an election in the fall. So you all let me know what your reaction to this news is. Obviously, this caught all of us by surprise. We we were kind of thinking, okay, maybe next year. Nobody expected the NDP to really kind of like do what they've done today. So you guys let me know. Give me your reaction in the chat. And wow, I maybe before long you guys might be able to, you guys that have been calling for this election, maybe you get what you want at last. We'll see. Anyways, if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, subscribe. I said like, share, subscribe. If you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for listening.